Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Givayadai, Jaya Givayadai. Yashodanandana Bhajanayanjana, Yashodanandana Bhajanayanjana, Yashodanandana Bhajanayanjana, Yashodanandana Bhajanayanjana, Yamuna Tiyavanachai, Yamuna Tiyavanachai, Yamuna Tiyavanachai, Yamuna Tiyavanachai, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Givayadai, Jaya Givayadai, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Givayadai, Jaya Givayadai. Yashodanandana Bhajanayanjana, Yashodanandana Bhajanayanjana, Yashodanandana Bhajanayanjana, Yashodanandana Bhajanayanjana, Yamuna Tiyavanai, Yamuna Tiyavanai, Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Subramahani ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Gurudeva ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnanajana Shalakaya, Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah, Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayambhu Bhagavadayam Vedati Svavadanti Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vamscha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sagana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Purjanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganavada Shri Vishakhan Vidam He Gna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapata Gopika Kanta Anta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Goya Radhe Abhineshri Shabano Sute Devi Parami Priya Vanshakal Bhyasya Kripasinya Patinanam Pavane Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shada Sade Goya Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Half of Scone Sydney, I like to go to evening. I said today is Eve, 24th of December. So I do understand at this time. So my heart for being here today. And please kindly bless me so the right words can come at the right spirit and be of a service to relationships. Today, not only today, but for the next couple of days, we'll be seeing the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is a very, very important, obviously, I mean, very, very important. Whether it's house or school or anything that we do, the beginning is very, very important. So what we will be doing is, the way we'll be doing our classes is that today we'll be focusing on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, based off the first chapter. Tomorrow, as we know, it is Christmas Day, but apart from Christmas Day, it is also Gita Jayanti. Because it is Gita Jayanti, there will be a class on the glories of Bhagavad Gita. After that, on Saturday, there will be another class together, and they will discuss how we can practically apply the Srimad Bhagavatam. We study the Srimad Bhagavatam based on the first chapter. So Saturday will be a more practical lesson. So without any more further ado, we'll start looking into this chapter. Srimad Bhagavatam itself, it's considered as the most glorious literature. And it definitely is glorious, that it is glorious even in our modern day society. Now, there are so many glories of Srimad Bhagavatam that we will discuss as we go through today. But His Grace Amaranda Prabhu, he said something very nice in a class last year on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. He said that if the whole could be used as a canvas, and the ocean is used as ink, still the glories of the Lord cannot be written. So we can see that the glories of the Lord cannot be written. What then to speak of the Srimad Bhagavatam? With so many, often people spend so much money and they clutter up the whole bookshelves with so many books. We need to understand that there's nothing like Srimad Bhagavatam. No literature can cover what Srimad Bhagavatam is. And there are many advanced literatures. Right? We can go on to name so many very prominent literatures. But what we need to, both structurally as well as Srimad Bhagavatam, exceeds in every single way. So Srimad Bhagavatam itself, it is not different from Krishna himself. In Brahma Vaivarta Puran, Canto 1, Chapter 73, there Krishna says that of all the Puranas, I am the best and I'm the supreme Bhagavad Purana. I'll repeat again. Of all the Puranas, I am the best and Srimad Bhagavad Purana. So Krishna himself, he says that he is not, not nothing, but he is Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the Padma Purana as well, we can see that there's a description given on how the Srimad Bhagavatam actually resists bodily features. So we, in the Padma Purana states that the first and second cantos, third and fourth, the fifth canto is his navel, his waist. The seventh cantos are his very, very, very strong shoulders. The ninth canto is his throat. The 10th canto is his face, and the other canto is Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can understand Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. Different from Krishna. 23 verses. This chapter document 18 verses exclusively to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. There are other verses that do Srimad Bhagavatam. They glorify the devotees as well, or they glorify the subject matter as well. 7 glorify Bhagavatam. And so in the beginning they really hammer on the point that Srimad Bhagavatam is something that we missed. So my plan was to go through all these 7 verses, but unfortunately, as we all know, time has the better of us. So we can't go through all the 7, but we will go through the main aspects that we can get from these 7 verses and understand how the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually important in our life. Now, from studying the Srimad Bhagavatam and from the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, there are 4 benefits and 4 qualities of Srimad Bhagavatam. Benefit that we can get from the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can get perfect and knowledge through its distillate truth. The second thing we can get is that it is for the welfare of everyone. Even in this age of Kali Yuga, Bhagavatam is for our own welfare. The third thing we can get is that the Supreme gets established in the heart. Not but perfection can be achieved just by hearing and chanting it. final benefit and quality that we'll be discussing today is that it's sufficient in every way to obtain pure knowledge, and in a way there's no need to study anything. So, to kick off the first, that we can get perfect and complete knowledge through its discussion of the absolute truth. Now, in this modern day society, everyone is hankering for knowledge, right? Everyone, I mean, there will always be hankering for knowledge, whether we admit it or not. I mean, the whole reason of our education system in the first place is to get knowledge. Most of our lives even is being spent on this pursuit to get knowledge. And of course, we need to understand that knowledge itself, it is important. We need knowledge. Recently, there's been a quote that has been spreading amongst the younger generation. They've been saying, ignorance is bliss. But ignorance is not bliss, because how are we going to get knowledge if we are ignorant? In the Bhagavad Gita itself, 4.37, there Lord Krishna himself says, as we need to understand that in this verse, Krishna says that knowledge is very, very important. We don't have time to cover the verse, but I'll cover the translation. There, Krishna says something very beautiful. He says, as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Now here, when a person first sees this verse, he will see that knowledge burns to ashes all the reactions to material activities. And they can take advantage of this statement that, okay, knowledge is something that will get rid of all our sinful activities. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll commit these sinful activities, and they won't matter, because Bhagavad Gita says knowledge will burn the reactions to those activities. But this is false in every single way, because we need to understand what true knowledge actually is. And we need to also ask ourselves, are we in full knowledge? Do we have full knowledge? Srila Prabhupada says that because we are in this material world, it is very, very difficult, almost impossible, to get complete and real knowledge. In the Krishna book, chapter 87, there Srila Prabhupada says, the individual living entity never has complete knowledge. Otherwise, how could he have come under the control of Maya or the material energy? So because we are under the three modes of material nature, because we are entrapped in this complex material nature, it is very hard for us to get real knowledge, because the knowledge that we get is associated with those three modes of material nature. And in our Vedic literatures, we can see that there are two different types of literatures. There's Paravidya and there's Aparavidya. Now, we can see that Paravidya is transcendental knowledge, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vedanta Sutra. And there's also Aparavidya. Aparavidya is the material knowledge. Both of these are important, don't get me wrong. Both of these are very, very important. But we need to understand what is absolute, what is complete knowledge. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 19.17, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada actually quotes Mundaka Upanishad. And there he says that there are two kinds of education systems. One that deals with the transcendental knowledge, as we said before, Paravidya, and the other with material knowledge, Aparavidya. And Srila Prabhupada says that all the Vedas, so the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, along with their corollaries, known as Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nivukta, Chanda, and Jyotisha, belong to the inferior system of material knowledge, Aparavidya. And there Srila Prabhupada says that by Paravidya, by spiritual knowledge, one can understand Akshara, Brahman, or the absolute truth. So this is our differentiating point, to understand what is Paravidya, what is Aparavidya. In this verse, the purport Srila Prabhupada says that Paravidya describes the absolute truth. Now, Paravidya we can understand to be the Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam, and other literatures as well. But Aparavidya, it's a very complex definition. I mean, we can't say straightforwardly what is Aparavidya. But Srila Prabhupada himself has said this very, very nicely in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 19.17, in their purport. And there he says that those who aspire for liberation, so mukti or moksha, and introduce themselves as Vedantika, are also equal to these groups aspiring to improve religion, dharma, economic development, which is artha, and sense gratification, which is kama. Now, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha are called chatuvarga. They are all within the system of the inferior material knowledge. So there is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Dharma is religion. Artha is sense. No, artha is economic development. Correct me. Artha is economic development. Karma is sense gratification, and moksha is for those who aspire for liberation. And we can see that in our modern day society, there are so many literatures that teach us how to gratify our senses, or how to start our own business, how to become a millionaire, etc. But we need to understand that these books are to be considered as the lowest, because Paravidya is lower than Aparavidya is lower than Paravidya. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost, because out of all the knowledge that we can access, spiritual knowledge is the topmost. Paravidya is topmost. And out of this spiritual knowledge, the Srimad Bhagavatam is topmost. Srimad Bhagavatam is described in the Vedic literature as Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam. Grantharaj, which is a crown of the head of literature. So Srimad Bhagavatam itself is very, very important to study, because it is the topmost literature we can study. And because of the high status of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is actually no need to study any other scripture. Now, the Skanda Purana states that Skanda Purana, the whole reference is here, but it's a very, very long reference. So I'll just say the translation. It's 2.5.16, and then verses 40 to 42, and then 44 and 33. So there, the Skanda Purana states, in Kali Yuga, of what value are collections of hundreds of thousands of other scriptures, if one does not keep the Srimad Bhagavatam in his house? In Kali Yuga, how can a person be considered a Vaishnava if the Srimad Bhagavatam does not find a place in his... Even if he is a Brahmana, he is to be considered lower than a dog eater. O Vipra, Narada, wherever is the Srimad Bhagavatam in Kali Yuga, the Lord goes there along with his demigods. O Muni, a person who faithfully recites a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam every day attains the fruit of reading 18 Puranas. Now this verse is a very, very strong verse, but we need to understand that there is no scripture like Srimad Bhagavatam. Normally, our modern day literature that we see, we have to keep reading. It's not that we get one book and that book will be the only book we have to read. But Srimad Bhagavatam, once you read Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no need to read any other literature. And we'll go into this verse into a bit more detail, but for the time being, we'll move on to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 13, text number 18. There, a very nice verse is given by Sutta Goswami. There, Sutta Goswami says, Srimad Bhagavatam Purana Mamalam Yad Vaishnavam Dham Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsyam Eka Mamalam Jnanam Param Giyate Tatra Jnana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Naishkamyama Vishkritam Daktrinavan Supatan Vicharanaparo Bhaktya Vimuche Naraha. So here the translation is very, very long, but if we just go to the first four words, Srimad Bhagavatam Purana Mamalam, there the translation of these four words is Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. Now, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is spotless, it is the topmost literature. And in the foreword to this verse, Srila Prabhupada actually explained this in a bit more detail. He says that because Srimad Bhagavatam is completely free of contamination by the modes of nature, it is endowed with extraordinary spiritual beauty, and is therefore dear to the pure devotees of the Lord. So he also adds on by saying the word Paramahamsa indicates that even complete liberated souls are eager to hear and narrate Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he says that those who are trying to be liberated should faithfully and serve this literature by hearing and reciting it with faith and devotion. So here we can get a few points. The first point we can get from this verse is that Srimad Bhagavatam is free from contamination by the modes of nature. It is pure, and it is endowed with the spiritual beauty of the Lord. And the final point, though, that the verse makes is that if we want to be liberated, Srila Prabhupada tells us straightforwardly that we should hear and recite it with devotion. Now, there is no other text that we can read that's material. Of course, spiritual knowledge, that's different. But as far as Aparavidya is concerned, there is no other text that promises us liberation just by hearing and chanting it. Now, this is excluding in the Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're talking about worldly literature. This is a glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, it's very, very bold statement to say that just by hearing and chanting it, one can become delivered from the material world. But in Canto 1, Chapter 1, text number 16, there Sukadeva Goswami says, Suta Goswami says, who is there, desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of quarrel, who is not willing to hear the virtual glories of the Lord? So here, Suta Goswami says that if we desire deliverance, if we desire liberation, then if we want to become free from the vices of this age of quarrel, because obviously it's the best time to be in. There are so many issues that go around. And if we want to be delivered from this terrible, terrible age, then who is not willing to listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam? So we can also, if we go one step further, we can see that Sanatana Goswami, he gives a definition of asadu and sadhu. Now, sadhu is a person who is a saintly person, and asadu is those who are not saintly. Now, of course, I can't speak for everyone, but I know for myself that I'm not saintly. I am asadu, you can say. And there, Sanatana Goswami says that for those who are asadu and want to be saintly, there is one literature that they should read, and that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, Sanatana Goswami says that for those who are asadu, for those who are not saintly, and they want to become saintly, then there is only one literature that we should read, and that's the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, we don't have to necessarily become sadhu, but what we need to understand is that we have to do reading Srimad Bhagavatam as our topmost priority. Now, the Srimad Bhagavatam can do everything. There are so many things that the Bhagavatam can do. However, unfortunately, there are people who do not want to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, this is very, very sad, a very, very sad reality of our world that we live in today. We have so many things in front of us that we can take advantage of, but unfortunately, there are people out there who do not want to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, there was a class given by His Grace Gauranga Prabhu, and Gauranga Prabhu said that one time he gave a class, and he to a place, and he asked for Bhagavad Gita. And when he asked for Bhagavad Gita, it became a whole search project to find the Bhagavad Gita. First, they had to climb the ladder, then they had to search. Now, after they search, they'll get the copy, and then they'll take the dust out, and they'll tear the plastic off. And in the same way, they tear the plastic off, but then there's dust in the books as well. This is not the way that we should keep Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, people are there who keep the plastic on the books, but they don't read. Now, in the same way, we have to try and actually understand Srimad Bhagavatam. If we don't read Srimad Bhagavatam, then how can we understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, and how can we actually get the benefits? For example, if a doctor prescribes some medicine to us, doctor gives us medicine. Now, it's not that we go and get medicine, then we keep that on our table, and we become free from our disease. That doesn't work that way. The medicine, we actually have to open it, we have to medicine, follow the instructions given, and some change. In the same way, the Srimad Bhagavatam is there to read. We have to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. We also need to realize that the Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't come for free. There are so many benefits of reading the Srimad Bhagavatam and studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's many, many benefits of reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. But one benefit that we can take is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, text number 17. There, Shukadeva Goswami says that both by right and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. Now, this is very, very interesting for us. Here, Shukadeva Goswami is saying that as the sun rises and sets, days of our life keep ticking and ticking, and we lose time. But here Shukadeva Goswami is saying that one who utilizes his time to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, the effect of the sun and the sun rising and setting doesn't have any effect on him. Now, every day we are getting older. That's true. And sometimes people can look at this verse with confusion. Like, how can you say that by rising and setting, the devotee doesn't get older? Now, his Shripad Ramanujacharya, in his commentary, he actually gives a very, very nice description of this verse. He says that the mouth of the cat We all know there are so many cats in this material world. A lot of people keep their cats in their house. That's a different topic. But Ramanujacharya says that the mouth of the cat is a death for the rat. Now, the same mouth that of the cat can be used as affection for the kitten, because with the same mouth, the cat, he holds the kitten so delicately on the neck. But that same mouth can be death for a rat at the same time. In the same way, death is described as something which invites the materialistic people. Those who are engaged in the worldly affairs of the world, death is described as this cat which is after the rat. It's very, very ferocious, very, very fearsome as well. However, when a devotee does age, I'm not saying devotees don't get older, devotees do get older. But when they get older, they do not get closer to death. They don't get closer to death. But if they do Shravanam and Kirtanam, if they spend their time by discussing and listening to the topics of the Supreme Lord, then they become closer to the Supreme Lord. In that way, the rising and setting of the sun doesn't bring them closer to death, but it brings them closer to returning back home, back to Godhead. Every day that passes by, that is a day closer, that brings a devotee a day closer to going back to their lordships. So because of that, we should understand that we should spend the time to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And I know a lot of devotees, even myself, we make a lot of excuses. We say, "Oh, I don't have time. I don't, I'm too busy. I have too many things to do." A lot of excuses come to mind. I mean, when it comes to doing something we want to do, I mean, there are no excuses. But when we don't want to do something, excuses just start flowing. I've experienced this myself. I know in my own case, so in Janananda Goswami Maharaj, my spiritual master, he gave me one instruction during year 7. And in year 7, he told me to regularly study Srila Prabhupada's books. And at that time, I mean, I think I just finished year 6. And during that time, I'm like, okay, year 7 is high school. It's a really, really big year. I put pressure on myself. I'm like, okay, this is a high school year. And I told Guru Maharaj that I don't know if I'll get the time to read. And Maharaj actually, he said something that I will never ever forget. He said that we have to try to find the time to read. And then Maharaj said that when we try to find the time to read, then there'll be no such thing as I don't have the time. And Maharaj explained that when we find time to read, we can actually start seeing that we actually get more time to do our business, do our own work. And at first, I mean, it sounds like a cliche statement. I mean, okay, you find the time to read, then there's no such thing as, you don't have the time. But when I started, following what Maharaj had said, then I actually noticed that when you read Srimad, when you read the devotional literature, I mean, time seems to be your best friend. I mean, you never run out of time. It's like you have all the time in the world to do what you can do. And it goes on to explain that if we give some time to Krishna, then of course we'll have so much time for ourselves. And because of that, Maharaj, he has always been on my case on reading Srila Prabhupada's books. I remember one time I got a very nice instruction from him. I think it was beginning of this year, beginning of 2020. We were in New Govardhan. And in New Govardhan, they had the sannyasi ashram, the ashram from Maharaj. And somehow or other, I was fortunate enough to be learning how to serve Guru Maharaj. So there I was, with Guru Maharaj. And I remember when Maharaj first arrived in the room, he was there, he was unpacking, he was getting ready. And I went out, and in the sannyasi room, they have a balcony. I don't know what happened in my mind, but I was just sitting on a chair and staring at, mango trees, staring at the people walking by, wasting time, you can say. And Guru Maharaj then came back from behind. And the way it works is that there's a balcony, and then there's Maharaj's room, the doors to Maharaj's room. So the balcony is right in front of Maharaj's room. And Maharaj opened the door and he walked. And he said, "Kesh, what are you doing?" And I said, I didn't say anything. And Maharaj said that Kesh, you were spacing out. He said, "Kesh, you were spacing out." He said, "There is always something for you to do." He said, whether it's reading, whether it's chanting, he said, do something useful. And okay, so I had to read, I had to chant. So I did my rounds, and then I started reading. And one of the benefits of staying with Maharaj is that what was very interesting was that the Brahmacharya ashram where I was staying, that was right next to Maharaj's room. So what would happen is that I would have to read, and I'll sit down in the couch. I mean, I think I was reading quite a few books then. I'll pick up a book, put it on my laptop, start reading, and Guru Maharaj will walk through the door, and he will ask, Kesh, what are you reading? He'll stand beside me, sit next to me, and be like, Kesh, what are you reading? So, and from that, I could understand that reading is very, 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 very important. If we spend time to Krishna, then we can have all the time for ourselves. Now, we need to understand that normally people like to read the Puranas. There are so many Puranas out there. There's so many literatures that are out there. And often people, they read these Puranas and they say, okay, we read this Puran, this Puran, this Puran. We don't need to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, what we need to understand is that normally in these Puranas, there is some sort of process that they give to obtain liberation. So it's like you do this first, then you get this effect. If you do this, you get that. And, if you want to get fame, you do this. If you want to get wealth, you do that. And it just goes on and on and on. But there's so many Puranas out there that present different rules and regulations for different types of liberations, fruitive activities concerning dharma, artha, karma, and moksha, as well as karma kanda. But we can understand that these Puranas teach us how to enjoy in this material world. However, Srimad Bhagavatam tells us how to enjoy it after leaving this material world. Now, when we look at the pastime of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Srimad Bhagavatam actually came to this material world, we can understand that Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva wrote so many different Puranas. He wrote so many Upanishads, Itihasas, the Vedas. He wrote so many literatures. And the main reason he wrote these literatures was for our own welfare, for our benefit. And in this age of Kali Yuga, we are very, very unfortunate. I mean, of course, we do have the highest fortune with us, this bit being the Srimad Bhagavatam. But what we need to understand is that during the age of Kali Yuga, the mentality of this age of Kali is very, very low. Now, out of compassion for the people of Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva wrote so many Puranas. But after writing so many literatures, Vyasadeva was not happy. Now, this is quite something to see. I mean, you write so many things for the welfare of people so that people can be happy. And you yourself are not happy. Now, Vyasadeva wasn't very happy. And later on, his own spiritual master, Narada Muni, came. And Narada Muni then, told him that what you write has to be connected to the absolute truth. And what we can see is that by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the very beginning, just by reciting and hearing it, if we just do Shravanam and Kirtanam, one can obtain perfection. Now, this is quite a statement to say, but what we need to understand is that the Puranas teach us, yes, no doubt, they teach us how to enjoy our lifestyles and how to be happy, but at the same time, they entangle us further and further in this material world. However, Srimad Bhagavatam could straight away give us liberation, not liberation, but make us free from this material world, just by reading and chanting it. In a lecture in Los Angeles, in the 5th of January, 1974, there Srila Prabhupada says something that's very, very important and something that we can apply in our day-to-day lives. There Srila Prabhupada says that if one reads one shloka, his life will be successful. If he reads one shloka, one word, this is such nice things. There Srila Prabhupada is saying that if one just reads one verse, one word, our life will be successful. Now, there are people who will take advantage of this statement. They say, okay, we'll read, one verse, and we just have to read one word. So they'll read, maybe one line. They'll read four words in one line, roughly. Then they'll say, okay, we've read 4 words, we can take a break for another 3-4 days. But it doesn't work that way because we have to read it regularly. Once we actually start reading Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, then our lives will become successful. Now, this we will touch on in a bit more detail on Saturday, where we can actually understand how we can practically apply the Srimad Bhagavatam in our lives. But for the time being, we need to understand that if we read one word, Srila Prabhupada is saying, I'm not saying this, the news channels are not saying this, no one is saying this, but Srila Prabhupada himself is saying that just by reading one word, our lives can become successful. Now, the question can arise, why can this actually be achieved from the Srimad Bhagavatam? Right? There are a lot of people who ask why. Why? Why is it like this? Why is it like that? Right? Even I'm one of those people. I asked, why should it be like that? And there, the Srimad Bhagavatam in 12.13.11 to 12 in the translation, there the Bhagavatam says that this Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta philosophy because its subject matter is the absolute truth, which, while not different from the spirit soul, is the ultimate reality, without a second. The goal of this literature is exclusively devotional service onto that supreme truth. Srimad Bhagavatam says this. So we need to understand that this Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta philosophy because it is the subject matter of the absolute truth. Out of Paravidya, out of all the spiritual knowledge, Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost. Here it says, but this Bhagavatam is the essence. It's the topmost of all Vedanta philosophy. But the reason why is because it is connected to the absolute truth. And the reason why is also given in the translation. There, the Srimad Bhagavatam is superior because it talks about the absolute truth. In the translation to this verse, we can understand that for something to have any value, if it is not connected to the absolute truth, then it has no value. And here we can judge that the Srimad Bhagavatam actually has its value because it is connected to the absolute truth. Now, in the first verse of the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, what we can see is that the definition of absolute truth is given straight off the bat. The first verse of the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, the translation is very, very long, but we can understand that the definition of the absolute truth is given. So I will quickly just go through this translation, not the verse. The verse is very, very long. The translation is, O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth, and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he who first imparted the Vedic knowledge onto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, and as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water, seen in fire, or land, seen in water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reaction of the three modes of material nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. So there we can see that the word absolute truth is given 2 times. Now, the whole definition of the absolute truth is given in this verse. So right off the bat, the absolute truth is being given. And this continues out throughout the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? The whole Srimad Bhagavatam explains what is the absolute truth. And because the Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the absolute truth, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the most valuable literature that we can study today. And to understand this, we can go to Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.34. This is actually one of the Chatusloki Bhagavatam verses. There, the Supreme Lord tells Lord Brahma, Rita artam yat pratiyeta, na pratiyeta jadmani, tad vidyad atmanomaya yatam bhasho yadatamaha. There he says that, O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. There, the Lord himself is saying that if we think that anything has any value, if it is not connected to Krishna, not connected to the absolute truth, then it has no value. And we can understand that there are so many different literatures out there, but these literatures, they don't have any value because they don't talk about the absolute truth. Right? We have so many different materialistic literatures out there, but the difference between that and the Srimad Bhagavatam is that the Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the absolute truth. And there Lord Krishna says that the literature that is not connected to the absolute truth is his illusory energy, and it should be in darkness. So in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.10, it even says, actually, this verse is a very, very nice verse. There it says that those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental bird, they do not derive any pleasure there. So here, the Srimad Bhagavatam is telling us that the words that are not used to glorify the Supreme Lord, that they are like, they're like the place of pilgrimage for crows. Now, this is a very, very interesting statement. The words that are not used to glorify the Lord, they pretty much have no value. This verse is explaining that in a very, very nice way. They are the pilgrimage for crows. Now, the connection to Krishna also has to be understood in the Srimad Bhagavatam. From the Srimad Bhagavatam example, we can see that it has to be connected to Krishna. Otherwise, if what we have is not connected to Krishna, then it is just darkness. It doesn't have any value. Even if we look at the Vedanta Sutra, now the Vedanta Sutra is what the Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of. But even in the Vedanta Sutra, the Srimad Bhagavatam is being explained right at the beginning. There the Vedanta Sutra says, in the right beginning, it affirms that everything is born from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as we can understand, the individual living entities are born from the energy of the Supreme Living Being. So there the definition of absolute truth is being given. Now, one lesson that we should learn from this is that we need to understand what is true value. Now, in our own lives, once we center everything around the absolute truth, around the Supreme Lord, only then does what we do have any value. Now, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is centered around Krishna, the Srimad Bhagavatam is perfect. Perfect in every single way. You can't fault the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the same way, if we put Krishna in the center, put the absolute truth in the center, we will become perfect. I mean, you can't fault us afterwards, because we are centered around, the Supreme Lord is centered. Now, one very, very important point that we can take is that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme authority. There's no authority that is higher than the Srimad Bhagavatam. If we study this perfect literature, and this perfect literature does come from the supreme authority, only then will our lives become full of value. Only then will our lives have value. In a class in Melbourne given by Srila Prabhupada, there Srila Prabhupada says that our process, I'll quote what Srila Prabhupada says in this class. In Srila Prabhupada's class, he says, so hours of knowledge you should take from the spiritual authority. Then we save time for research work. That is Krishna consciousness movement. We take perfect knowledge from Krishna. I may be imperfect, just like child is imperfect, so I may be imperfect. You may be imperfect. But if you take the perfect knowledge from the Supreme Perfect, then your knowledge is perfect. That is the process. This is called Arohapanta. Knowledge coming deductive knowledge. So there, Srila Prabhupada is saying that our process of knowledge has to come from the Supreme Authority. If we take knowledge from Krishna, then even though we are imperfect, like in this material world, we have some sort of imperfection. Everyone has some sort of negative quality, some sort of bad quality. But even when we are imperfect, just like a child is imperfect, Srila Prabhupada is saying that if we surrender to the perfect literature, then our knowledge will be perfect. And there Srila Prabhupada is saying that knowledge has to be taken from a specific authority. Because to get perfect knowledge, you have to go through the chain. You have to go through the way to get that perfect knowledge. It's like to get many degrees. To get certain degrees, what you need to do is that you have to go to a specific university, learn from specific people, to specific professors, and then only then can you understand the supreme knowledge. Not supreme knowledge. Only then can you understand true knowledge. In the same way, if we want to understand supreme knowledge, the only way we can get supreme knowledge is to go through the right authority. For example, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he gave a very nice quote. He had a very nice talk in a debate with one use one television, and there this person was challenging Krishna consciousness quite broadly. And there Gopal Krishna Maharaj says that to learn what 2 plus 2 is, you have to go to the teacher. And if you go to your teacher, for example, like I'm sure now everyone knows what 2 plus 2 is. But if we were in our primary school years and we go to the teacher, then we say, how do you know that 2 plus 2 is 4? Not 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. How do you know that 2 plus 2 is 4? The teacher will say, I heard from my teacher. And that if you keep going teacher by teacher by teacher, they will say that I have a teacher. Now, in the same way, the Srimad Bhagavatam itself is presented through authority. There is a parampara in which we can understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. And to understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to go through a specific authority. And who can be more higher to go to than Shukadeva Goswami? Shukadeva Goswami is, the topmost person that we can actually study from. In the 3rd verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there the Srimad Bhagavatam actually glorifies Shukadeva Goswami. It says, O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already eligible for all, including liberated souls. I'll repeat the last 2 sentences again. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already eligible for all, including liberated souls. So here, another point comes in, that Shukadeva Goswami is so pure that the Srimad Bhagavatam even says that this fruit has become more tasteful and more nourishful because it is emanated from the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami. And the reason that the Srimad Bhagavatam is so eligible is because it came from the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami. There is a whole parampara where we can understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. We don't have time to go through the parampara right now, but even our own parampara, if you look, for example, the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. The knowledge that we get from this parampara originally goes straight towards Krishna. And it is through this parampara where we can actually understand him. It's now, from this verse, from this point, we can actually understand that the pure devotee is very, very important. Now, it is very common for us in Krishna consciousness movement to miss or to not see the importance of the pure devotees, of the association of devotees. I can't speak for everyone, but especially those who take the movement for granted. I know as a child, the devotees will come into our houses, they'll come for programs, and I'll be like, okay, just another visitor that came home. It's not just another visitor. These devotees are not just visitors. By their association, we can get so much. We can get so much from an association. For us, it is very easy for us to miss the mark. It's very easy for us to not oversee, but completely miss the importance of a pure devotee. But in text 15 of the first chapter, there, the Naimisharanya Rishis, the sages of Naimisharanya, they say, O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges, or Mother Ganga, can sanctify only after prolonged use. I'll repeat this translation again. There, the Naimisharanya sages are saying, O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. Right, so now the Mother Ganga actually comes. There are many times when people go to Mother Ganga. Mother Ganga, it's crowded every single day. Of course, now it's not crowded, COVID-19. I don't know. But Mother Ganga normally it's very, very crowded because people want to get rid of the sinful activities. But here, the sages of Naimisharanya, they are saying that the Ganges can purify someone only after prolonged use. It's like medicine, for example. Medicine, if you want to take medicine, then it's not just you take, one tablet, one capsule, and you become free from this disease. free from your sickness. It doesn't work like that. You have to keep taking and taking and taking and taking it, right? In the same way, the Ganges is like that. But we need to understand that the pure devotees are even more powerful than the Ganges, because the pure devotees, just by coming in touch with them, just by associating with them, one can have so many we can get so many qualities just by associating with the devotees. Now, in the purport for this verse, 1.1.15, there Srila Prabhupada writes that pure devotees of the Lord are more powerful than the waters of the sacred river Ganga. One can derive spiritual benefit out of prolonged use of the Ganges water, but one can be sanctified at once by the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord. At once. Just by having the association with the devotee just once, one can become pure and can get, just by the mercy, one can get the pure mercy of the Lord. And because of this, because of the high status of Srimad Bhagavatam itself is very, very high. It's very high written literature. But what makes Srimad Bhagavatam even more higher is, as the verse says, it has emanated from the lotus mouth of Shukadeva Goswami. Now, what can be better than Srimad Bhagavatam? I mean, we have the Srimad Bhagavatam that has come from a pure devotee, from a pure source. And because of that, there's actually no need to study any other literature. Recently, in a class through Zoom, His Holiness Janananda Goswami Maharaj, he was asked by one devotee whether it was appropriate to read any other literature, like any other books. And there, Guru Maharaj actually said something very, very strong. And Guru Maharaj said that we have to start reading Srila Prabhupada's books. That was I think that was the topic of the class. He said that we have to read Srila Prabhupada's books, and then Guru Maharaj said that only once we finish Srila Prabhupada's books, then we can read the other literatures that are there. Then Guru Maharaj went on to say that there is no need to read any other book other than Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada's books give us everything, right? I mean, there's nothing that Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't give us. And once we study Srimad Bhagavatam, once we study Srila Prabhupada's books, there's no need to read any other literature. Another very important point that my spiritual master taught us was that there was one devotee who actually asked him, because Guru Maharaj has one book. He has one very small book. It's called Animals and Krishna Consciousness. I think he wrote it quite some time back. It's a very, very nice book, very beautiful book. And one devotee asked Maharaj if this book can be distributed, to the general public, if we can distribute the books. And there, Maharaj said something very, very strong. He said, no, you have to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. And Maharaj has always given special emphasis on Srila Prabhupada's books specifically, because there's nothing higher than Srila Prabhupada's books. And I remember 2 years ago, 2018, in Penang. Penang is in Malaysia. There in Malaysia, Maharaj gave a very, very strong class. And I think the class was about scientific advancement. And later on, he actually started talking about, books, book distribution, and then talked about books as well. And there, Maharaj asked a question in front of everyone. He said, how many of you have read Bhagavad Gita? People have read Bhagavad Gita. So I'll say a fair majority of the temple hall raised their hands. Then he asked, okay, how many of you have read all those small books? Slightly less. Not everyone has to read all those small books by Srila Prabhupada, but people did put their hands up. Then he said, how many of you have read Nectar of Devotion? Even less. Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada Leela Mrita, Srila Prabhupada lectures, Srila Prabhupada letters and conversations. And then reach the Prabhupada conversations, because I have, the printable copy of, in an ebook as well, of all Srila Prabhupada's letters and all of his conversations. And when Maharaj went to last Srila Prabhupada's lectures and conversations, only one devotee put their hand up. And this devotee must have been in the movement for 30, 40 years. Very, very senior devotee. So we need to understand that, we have so much literatures in front of us, written by Srila Prabhupada, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all these devotion literatures. But what is the point of having all these literatures if we don't actually read them? Right? There are a lot of people who read other nonsense. They read other literatures out there. but there is no need to read anything else apart from the Srimad Bhagavatam, or apart from Srila Prabhupada's books. Now, in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, this purport is a very, very long purport. It's, the opening purport, but there Srila Prabhupada writes that Srimad Bhagavatam is so scientifically presented that any sincere student of this great science will be able to understand the science of God simply by reading it with attention, or simply by regularly hearing it from a bona fide speaker. Everyone is hankering after happiness in life, but in this age, the members of human society, blind as they are, do not have the proper vision that the personality of God is the reservoir of all happiness, because He is the ultimate source of everything. Jimadi Acyuta, and then quote. So there we can understand that if we want to be a sincere student of this great, great science, then we have to actually try and understand the science of God. And there, by understanding the science of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says that this can be done simply by reading and chanting with attention the Srimad Bhagavatam, or by hearing it from a bona fide speaker. By doing this, one can will be able to understand this great, great science. And in the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2, there the verse is also reasonably long, but there a very, very nice point is being given. The translation says that completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. So completely rejecting religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in its maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Now here, I'll read the last part of it. The Bhagavatam says, this beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in its maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. Then the Bhagavatam actually asks a question. And Bhagavatam says, what is the need of any other scripture? We don't need to read any other scripture. As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord becomes established in the heart. Now, if you go, there's no other literature apart from, Srila Prabhupada's books. They are, exception. But there is no other worldly literature that promises that by reading this literature, the Supreme Lord will be established in the heart. There's no other literature. There's so many books out there, but none of them can establish the Supreme Lord in the heart. And because of that, we need to understand that even though this can't be achieved from so many different literatures, this can still be achieved just by studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. So why should we study anything else? Because Srimad Bhagavatam itself gives us everything. Srila Prabhupada himself, this will be one of my concluding points, it's already 8:28, but then Srila Prabhupada said that there was one time when Srila Prabhupada was preparing to go to America. This was before he arrived in Boston, when he was about to leave. There, Srila Prabhupada, when he was going to America, one of his godbrothers came and said, "Are you going to America?" Because of course, when you try to do something in this material world, it spreads. Everyone starts to find out. So one godbrother asks, "Are you actually going to America?" Then Srila Prabhupada said that I am not going to America. Srimad Bhagavatam is going to America. I am going as its servant. Now, Srila Prabhupada himself placed himself as a servant of Srimad Bhagavatam, or just for our welfare. Now, Srila Prabhupada himself said that he's not going to America. Srimad Bhagavatam is going to America. And we know Srila Prabhupada sacrificed so much, just to bring Srimad Bhagavatam across the ocean to New York, to the Western world. He sacrificed so much. He suffered a couple of heart attacks. He was pretty much, by himself in New York when he first started, and somehow or other, the Srila Prabhupada had this faith in Srimad Bhagavatam that the Srimad Bhagavatam is to America. and he's just his servant. So we need to understand that so much has been sacrificed for the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's been so much that has been sacrificed. His Holiness Maharaj, Govind Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, once they were in Bhubaneswar temple. They have a nice temple there. I think that's Srila Prabhupada's last temple that he established. And it's a very, very nice temple. And so there, His Holiness Govind Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, they were in Bhubaneswar. And Srila Prabhupada actually asked Maharaj, where is the audio version? Where is the audio translation of Bhagavatam? And Govind Maharaj was like, Srila Prabhupada, I had so much work to do at that time. He had, he had to look after the deities, had to maintain the temple, sort of the management, do so many things. And then Govind Maharaj said that, Prabhupada, I don't have any time to do it. I mean, it makes sense, that he has so much work to do. Then Srila Prabhupada, he called one devotee. This one devotee just entered the temple just to take darshan. He was a new devotee from New York. He was a Western devotee. And then Srila Prabhupada comes and he calls that devotee and he says, as person. So Govind Maharaj, he went and he called this new devotee. And this new devotee was thinking, okay, I'll be getting some prominence. Like in this material world, everyone is after some sort of prominence. So this person was there. He walked to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, please tell me, how can I serve you? Pompous, trumpets going on and everything, very ceremonially he went to Srila Prabhupada and said, how can I serve you? And Srila Prabhupada says that you stay here and you maintain the temple. This is the best way you can serve me. And this devotee was taken aback by shock. He just came from New York and he had a flight to go back to New York the next day. And Srila Prabhupada comes and tells him, stay here, maintain the temple. Why? So that His Holiness Krishna Maharaj, Govind Maharaj can translate the Srimad Bhagavatam to the audio version. And there, this Western devotee started saying, Srila Prabhupada, I have a flight to go to tomorrow. He had to go to New York the next day. Srila Prabhupada said, no worries, you can cancel the flight. There's no problem, you can cancel the flight. Then this devotee started saying so many different things. He said, Srila Prabhupada, this is India, in Bhubaneswar, I'm not used to the weather. I'm not used to the situation. That makes sense. If you brought up in a Western country, it's very hard to get used to the Indian, the Indian situation, you can say. And then Srila Prabhupada says, no worries, you stay here for a couple of months and your body will get used to the situation. Then this person said, Srila Prabhupada, the food is not according to my taste. He says, I'm very used to, Western food. I can eat Western food. Srila Prabhupada said, no worries, I'll send you recipes. I'll give you recipes on how you could cook Western food in India, if that's fine. Then this person said, Srila Prabhupada, I'll get sick. The water here is very, very bad, very, very dirty. Indian water is, like that, very, very dirty. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I'll get very, very sick. Srila Prabhupada said, don't worry, I have a history in medical science. Srila Prabhupada used to own a pharmacy back then. And he said, don't worry, I have a history in medical science. I can tell you which medicine you should take. And this devotee at the end, he said he will use his Brahmastra. He uses Brahmastra. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I should tell you that if I stay here and maintain the temple, I would not be able to chant my 16 rounds. And he was that, if I say, I won't be able to chant my 16 rounds, then Srila Prabhupada would be like, oh, 16 rounds. Okay, it's fine, you don't have to stay here. But Srila Prabhupada said that is okay. He said, if you stay here and do service, there is no need to do 16 rounds. Now, for some devotees, this may be the best thing they've heard ever since coming into Krishna consciousness. But we need to understand that this is not for everyone. This was the one and only time, not the only time. I think one other time Srila Prabhupada gave a similar instruction. But we need to understand that this instruction is not for everyone. Srila Prabhupada said this because this person was doing service and it was an exceptional situation. We shouldn't take it for granted that, okay, I will, I'll do service. It's not like to do our 16 rounds. Anyway, so then this devotee, he accepted defeat. He said, okay, he used his Brahmastra, and he said, okay, I will, maintain the temple. And that was, then after that, Govind Maharaj started, working on the Srimad Bhagavatam, working very, very hard to publish it and translate it. And that was how the audio version of Srimad Bhagavatam came out. That was how the audio version of Srimad Bhagavatam, the audio translation, that's how it actually became released. So we can see that Srila Prabhupada, just to release the Srimad Bhagavatam, he did so many things. He was waiting just to get the Srimad Bhagavatam come out. Right? From going by himself from Vrindavan. Normally in Vrindavan, he was living in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, that's one of the best places you can live in. Like, no one wants to leave Vrindavan now. It's everyone is trying to leave this world in Vrindavan. That's the best place you can leave your world in. Leave this world in. Leave your body. But Srila Prabhupada, he let go of the best place you can be in to go to America. Why? To bring Srimad Bhagavatam to us. Not even that. Even in this past time, we can see that Srila Prabhupada was ready to change everything, ready to do everything, just to make sure that Srimad Bhagavatam gets published. So, to wrap up today, just to again go through the 4 benefits and qualities of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. The first one is that we can get perfect and complete knowledge through its discussion of the absolute truth. Right? So the Srimad Bhagavatam discusses the absolute truth, and because it discusses the absolute truth, it is the most perfect and complete knowledge. The second benefit that we can get is that it is for the welfare of everyone. In this age of Kali Yuga, the only thing that can actually benefit us quite deeply. The third benefit is that the Supreme Lord gets established in the heart, and perfection can be achieved just by hearing and chanting it. Right? There is no other literature in this material world that has such a statement. No other literature that says that the Supreme Lord can get established in your heart just by hearing and chanting it. And the final statement that is given is that it is sufficient in itself to obtain pure knowledge, and because of that there is no need to study anything else. Right, so we don't need to study any other Upper Vidya or any other literatures. Srimad Bhagavatam itself is fully satisfactory. That's all we need to study. So on that note, I'll conclude here. Thank you very much for tolerating me in today's class. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I'm very, very insignificant, very, very fallen. I'm very, very grateful to Her Grace Matra Gokul Mataji and His Grace Nanda Gokul Prabhu for giving me the opportunity to speak today. And thank you very much for being here today. Please forgive me if I made any offenses, if I said anything at the wrong time, if I said anything that may have been harmful, may have been, very negative. Please forgive me. And please bless me so that I can somehow or other improve this service to please their lordships. Thank you very much. Grandfather Srimad Bhagavatam Harapana Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Gaur Prabhupada.